Hi, friends, and welcome to a very special episode of the Dance Principles United podcast. I am here with the beautiful Beck. Happy Wednesday, Beck. How you doing, my love?
I am so awesome, and I'm super excited because we've got some pretty incredible news to tell you all.
Absolutely. We're celebrating today because we have hit 25,000 downloads of the podcast. Oh my God. That is absolutely incredible. And we want to thank you all for your support of our podcast. It's so lovely, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. We see so many people, like even when we had Expo, and they're like, we listen to the podcast all the time. And I think, we don't realize how many of you are out there listening to us, which is really special. It makes us feel amazing. And we hope that we're helping lots of you, which is why we do it, really.
Absolutely. It's this weird thing, right? Because when you're podcasting, we're sitting here on Zoom, doing it to each other. We're like putting it out into the world. Is anyone actually listening to this? Like, don't you have those moments? Like,
Totally.
I'm doing this work. What is anyone actually listening to this? But yeah, when Nathan told us the other day we'd hit 25,000 podcast downloads, oh my God.
Yeah, crazy. I can't believe it. But thank you so much, guys. We're so pumped. And so we put out there that if we did hit those 25,000, that we would let you guys ask us some questions. So we've got a few really cool questions that we will answer for you guys right now.
Bit scary. We had a couple of questions come through on the Instagram. We said, ask us anything, and we thought we'd just put it out there as a special edition of the Dance Principles United podcast. Which is so great. So shall we get stuck into it? What do you reckon?
Absolutely. Let's get stuck in.
Okay. So first question that came through, and thank you so much to everyone that sent questions through. It's so lovely through our Instagram, which was so nice. So first question, how many enrollments did your schools have at your peak? You'd be in a peak right now, right?
Yeah, we are at our peak, I think. We're sitting at just over 600 kids at our school. But I think more importantly is how many class placements you have. This is something we've been working on with our tribe members and SGC members, right? So at my school, I know because my head of admin checks in with me every single week as to all of our numbers. And we're sitting at 1,872 class placements.
Ooh, that's exact.
Yeah, well, I am exact. And, I think it's really important that if you guys don't know your numbers, you need to know your numbers. Nathan will love me saying this, but you need to know how many kids you have. That's a great thing to have, okay? But you can have 600 kids and you can have 600 class placements, and that business is not going to be making anywhere near as much as if you're having the 1,800 class placements. So you want that class placement to be around each child doing 3 classes if possible, right, Amanda?
Yeah, as an average kind of thing. So if you're looking at your class placements, if you've got 5 students and little Susie does 1 class, John does 2 classes, let's find some more names.
Ellie does 4 classes.
And so, whatever. And then you add up how many classes you are together. You have 5 students taking, I didn't add those numbers up, but let's say, 12 class placements. That's how you work out those numbers. So it's a really important number to know, right?
Yeah, it's so important. And I think it is a game changer. And I think if you work really hard at this, you can end up making sure that you can advertise within, you can get your kids doing more classes, and then you can up your income already without even advertising outside of your school. And that's one of the big things that we teach in Tribe and SGC. But you way exceeded that, right?
We did, but we have different studios as well, quite different studios. Our peak was probably maybe 2 years ago or something like that. Before I sold Dance Sensations, I think our peak was about 815 or so students, doing about just under 3,000 class placements a week, which was huge. We were so happy with that. Like Beck, has you probably have a higher class average than I do. My class average is kind of around that 4 mark. You're probably a little bit higher than that, because sometimes that's what matters, right? It's not actually the amount of students, but the amount of class placements you've got going.
Right, exactly. And we talked about SGC and tribe members about this all the time, but if you can just up those class placements, if you can get those kids maybe doing 2 or 3 classes, it can pretty much double or triple your income if you work really hard at it. And they're already your fans, they're already in your premises, they're already doing those classes. So I think that you can really work on that as a studio. And you're right, Amanda. It's not always about how many kids you have, but how many classes they're doing.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's actually something we've had a new intake of Studio Growth Club members, and it was something that we got them to all work out recently, was what is your average class placements per student? You know, is it 1.2? Is it, you know, 3.4, whatever? But finding that number and working out that number is so, so important. So you know it, and then you can try and move it up, because even just moving it up by, you know, like 0.5, 0.5 or anything like that, it actually drastically changes things in your studio. So if you don't know that number, make sure you check it out, try and work it out. And, you know, your goal when you're working on re-enrollment is to take it up just that little bit, right? And just try and add, you know, and it's so important to know, because that's how you can, we're so getting off topic, but, you know, things that we start talking about. But if you need to get yours from 1 to 2, then, you know, the plan is to really make sure you're bundling 2 classes together and putting them nice and close to each other. However, if your goal is to get from 4 to 5, you're going to work out that structure of your timetable slightly differently. So really making sure you're focusing on that is so, so beneficial. But yeah, like Beck and I both have big studios, right? And that's the studio of our dreams. And I think that's so important, as knowing that that's what we wanted to build in our studios.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that doesn't mean it's the studio of your dreams. And I know lots of successful studios that don't have big student numbers, but that have a really elite kind of studio, and the kids are doing everything and doing big comps. And so, you know, you design what you want to design, and be proud of that.
Absolutely. And it's got to also work in with your life, right? You know, you might just love teaching dance, and teaching, you know, 100 kids might be just your absolute goal, because it gives you a really great work-life balance. And that might be your goal as well. So, you know, yes, our studios both got really, really big, and we're super proud of that. But that was the type of studio we wanted to build, and each to their own, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So what's our next question, Amanda?
Next one that I really liked was, what events do you find the best to build community in your studio?
So many. I'm so big on this. I think it's so important. Look, a lot of our members, and I know I do this as well, just do events within the studio. So I've seen a lot of people, I'm sure you have too at the moment, because it's nearly Halloween, doing Halloween week and dressing up, and the teachers get involved. And I think that's super cute. But then people go all out as well. So one of the events that I do is a huge Easter picnic down at the river. We invite all our families down there. The Easter bunny comes. We do sack races and egg and spoon races, and go on a scavenger hunt. And it is such an awesome day. And I think that builds community. And Amanda, I know you did lots of like troops going away and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So we, you know, would do, you know, comp weekends away, or nationals and things like that. But like, Beck is absolutely the queen of events. This is, you know, I don't do nearly as many incredible events. My God, your Easter one every year. I'm like, oh, I'm tired just looking at it, Beck. But I'm going to like go against the grain a little bit, and say that events are fantastic, and you should definitely be doing events, but it's not always the event itself that changes and grows the community in your studio, or the culture in your studio. It's your teachers, your team, your staff, and you, and how you connect with that community. So running a huge Easter event or a great Halloween event doesn't do anything if your teachers are not connecting with your clients, who are the parents, not the students. If they're not creating that amazing culture through conversations, whether that's an online conversation through an app like Band, or in person after class. You know, to me, it's all about the connections that you're building, because it doesn't matter how great the event is. If you're not chatting to the parents, it's not going to work, right?
Yep, totally agree. And I think we forget that sometimes. And then we wonder why students leave at the end of the year. And the kids might be having the best time possible in class, but if parents don't feel the connection, if parents don't feel like they're getting value from what those kids are doing, then it's easily disposable. And I think that's the key as well, is making sure that you are including those parents, like Amanda said, just in conversations. You know, just chatting to them, letting them see on Band what the kids are doing in class and how much fun the kids are having, because most of the time they're not in the class, so they don't see it. I always think about sport here, Amanda. I'm like, you know, the parents are on the football field with the kids watching them. They watch them train. They see that side of things. But with dance, it's all behind closed doors most of the time. And so they're not seeing that. And so that's why it's so important for us to share those moments.
Absolutely. I love that so much, that analogy on sport. And, you know, all schools these days have those connections. You know, we've got an app. I get messages home from the teachers every single day from our school. I get photos from their schoolwork. I get updates on how my children are doing in their class and what they did. So we've got to make sure that we're delivering that as well, you know, through the app if possible. You know, the teachers coming out and talking. I think that's the biggest thing, is taking the time to make sure that your teachers are coming out after concert to chat to all the parents, to tell them what a great job they did. You know, socializing with them at comps, not being like, no parents talk to me. We've all seen, you know, that studio owner, don't talk to me, don't talk to you. We've seen that stressed out studio owner at a comp, right? We all know the one.
I feel like I've been there myself, to be honest, Samantha. On many occasions.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing, right? Like we all have made mistakes as a studio owner, but it's growing and learning from those mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's so many incredible events you could do, from weekends away to Halloween events to Easter events to, you know, nights in. But I think the important thing is include the parents, because the parents are actually the customer. And, you know, just make sure that whatever the event is, that the conversations are the important thing, the connections, all of that is more the plan. So really focusing on that as well, I think, is the key. Hopefully that helps that person asking about the events.
Love that. Love that. All right. What's our next one? So many questions.
I know. So the next person said, and I'm not going to say the name, but they said, you know, that they've started a new license program in their studio, and they're really struggling to build it. I know you've started new programs in your studio, and you help people build their dance circ programs as well.
Yes.
So, you know, what are our tips around how to, you know, start and get a new program off the ground?
Well, do you know what's interesting? And I'm probably going to be a little bit controversial now, Amanda, but I have a lot of never. Look, I have a lot of dance cert clients reach out and say this to me, and I've got a meeting with one of them tonight, believe it or not. And they say to me that they can't build the program. And then I go onto their Instagram and there's no posts at all about circus being in their school. And then when I generally talk to them, I say, well, you know, what ads have you put out? Oh, we haven't put any ads out. We posted a couple of times and then we expect the program to just grow. And that's not the case. And you can't expect anything to grow in your studio without consistent marketing. And, you know, I always talk about how I went from 30 to 300 preschoolers. Well, we did that through consistent marketing. And I used to be that studio owner who said, oh, it's just my area. We don't have any preschoolers. Oh, the studio down the road has taken all the preschoolers. Oh, every excuse that we hear all the time, Amanda. And that's not actually the case. The case is you're not consistently marketing, and you do have to spend money to make money.
Absolutely. I think that's so key. So that consistent marketing, both organically and through paid advertising, is absolutely key. You know, I said to one of our Studio Growth Club members last night, they were talking about their Instagram and they were struggling with their cheer program, and, you know, whether to have the 2 Instagram accounts or the one, you know, we're having this full big conversation, right? And, you know, to me, I was saying to them, okay, so what percentage is this program of your studio? And I said, so for example, if it's 20%, 20% of your Instagram posts should be about that specific program. However, it's not just about what it is now, it's what do you want it to be? Because if your goal is that new program to be 30% of your studio, that every third post should be about that. And that's how I think is a really good, and that might help some people, like just having that sort of thing. If you want your preschool program to be a third of your studio, which most of us do, that's a good kind of number. Every third post should be about preschool, regardless if it is at 30% at the moment or if it's only at 10%, but you'd really like it to be at 30%. You know, and I think just having those kind of numbers in your head might help some people. Hopefully, let me know if that kind of clicks with you. But yeah, I think it's about making sure that you are sharing the love between all the programs that you offer, and not just always featuring, you know, that high level elite kid that is always at the comp or whatever that is.
Exactly. And I think as well, like realizing that organic posting does not work very well anymore. And something that I said to the tribe members a couple of weeks ago when I was on a tutorial with them, Amanda, was put your hand up on Zoom if any of you have recently seen the local karate schools posts. Put your hand up if you've recently seen, the local football posts. Like, no one's seeing them unless they're putting money behind it. That's when you see it. So be
Absolutely.
aware of that. Don't think that you're just posting or you've got things on your story and therefore everyone's going to come to your studio. That's not how the world works. And there's lots of different ways you can advertise. You can put flyers in at schools. You can put flyers at preschools. That works really well. I heard someone say the other day that they're really into, doing a flyer drop in mailboxes at the moment because mailboxes are empty. So, actually putting something in a mailbox could be a good way. But we really know that everyone is on social media. It's the best way to target the right audience, and putting spend consistently behind that is the way to go. And it's the way to grow.
Absolutely. Hopefully that helps that person build their program. And if you're trying to build a program, like self-reflect a little bit on it as well and have a look, have a look at your Instagram grid. How much have you put in ads? What are you doing at the moment? Have a really good look at that, I guess. It would be ideal. All right, next question. I think this one's for me and it's a bit scary. The question was, do I miss my studio?
Ooh, I'm interested to hear this one.
I hadn't told Beck all the questions before we started because I just pulled them off our Instagram. So for those of you who didn't know, I sold my studio at the beginning of the year. I haven't actually talked about it much on the podcast. Don't know why, wasn't quite ready, not sure, all the things. It's a big emotional thing, right? Like I've had the studio for 20 years. It was part of my identity. Or 20, I don't know, 22 years, something ridiculous. And I'm sure so many of you, resonate with that. Like, Miss Amanda is part of my identity. That's what I've always been known as. So I sold my studio earlier in the year. We have been traveling, which if you do listen to the podcast, you would know we've been traveling in Thailand for 6 months. We're back now. And we've been back for a couple of weeks and my kids are back at the studio. So my girls are dancing 3 days a week. I was messaging Beck yesterday because I was, doing dance mum drop off. My 3 girls are dancing 5 days, 6 days actually. I think 6 days, 5 days. I don't know. There's a lot of pickups between the 3 of them. I'm feeling for that dance mum life, I tell you what. So I guess, do I miss it? Absolutely. I definitely miss parts of my studio. There's no doubt of that. It is very odd walking in there as a dance mum.
It would be.
It's, so different. And I have a great relationship with Ali, who I sold the studio to, and all of the staff there. It's all still the staff that were with me, and I have great relationships with them all. So, I want to go in and I want to see how their day was. I want to chat. I want to do all the things. And I am still supporting them, through the journey as they're taking over. But yeah, I absolutely miss parts of my studio. No doubt. I miss, even just being at a comp, like, that kind of stuff, those connections with the kids. That's why we do it, right?
Totally.
So yeah, missing parts of it. Other parts I'm loving, but it's more for me about new challenges, because new challenges with Dance Principals United, with Dance Teacher Expo, new phase of my life, spending, and challenges as well, being like at home, being a mum, because I'm not used to that. I'm not used to cooking dinner. I'm not used to being at home. Dinner is not my forte. I tried a Thermomix last night.
Amanda messaged me and she was like, I'm up to number 27 of 45 steps and I'm so over this.
We're just going to reveal everything on this podcast today. Yes, I was messaging Beck going, I think I want to go back to teaching and working nights. I do not want to do Thermomix recipes anymore. I thought I'd give it a go being a housewife,
No. I don't think that's our jam, babe. I don't think that's our jam.
But things you got to try, right? So that's a challenge for me. But it's a new challenge. It doesn't mean it's always great. It doesn't mean it's always bad. It's just something new. So I guess, yes, I miss my studio, parts of it definitely, but I am enjoying post-studio life as well, very much so. Yeah. And the traveling part of it, that was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. And I think, like, as you said, you achieved everything in business that you ever wanted to with your studio.
Yes.
And now it's time to achieve new things in business. And I guess that's the exciting part about it, is making that transition.
Absolutely. I never imagined I opened the studio, and probably we should do a full podcast on this that we haven't. You'll have to let us know if you're listening. Let us know if you want to hear it, because I haven't really shared the story about it. But I started my studio at 16. I didn't have a chance to do the full Europe trips for long periods of time. I did, short, what can I fit into the summer holidays kind of trips. But I didn't do a lot of things in my 20s that a lot of people did, because I was busy building a business. So I think, having a chance to experience that's important. And as I said, when I started the studio at 16, I never expected it to be what it was going to be. I never expected to have that many kids, to be that bigger studio. At 16, I don't know what I thought. I just wanted to teach a couple of kids to dance. Like, I hadn't really given it a lot of thought. I thought it was a cool thing to do until I started uni. And that was about it. So yes, I think that's the big thing, right? Like, I achieved everything and more that I would have ever wanted.
I think
So
that
next
could be a cool
adventure.
podcast, though, like how we started our studios and then how we got to where we are. I think that could be a really cool podcast.
For sure. Coming your way.
Not today, though. Do we have any more questions? Is that the last question, or there's one more?
No, we've got one more. And this is a good one for you, Beck. How do you juggle mum life, home life, being a studio owner?
Not very well at the moment. I feel like at the moment I am drowning. And look, I don't think it's all the things, right? It's like 5 kids, studio, Dance Principals United, and DanceSec. There's just a lot of moving parts, and I'm probably at this time of year, especially when it's concert time and stuff, my kids, I don't see them as much. But the way that I work it in my head, be it right or wrong, Amanda, is I know I've got Christmas holidays coming up where I've got, good solid weeks with them where I will really make the time with them. And I think that's the key. Like, when you do have time with them, really making sure that it is quality, good time. But at the moment, I would say that I'm struggling with spending time with them for sure.
Love the
And
radical honesty in there, Beck.
yeah,
Like, I think that's the thing. We can sit here and pretend that we've got our shit together all the time. The reality is we do not.
we do not.
And I think that's so important, right? Like, we've talked before about this, like, I think work-life balance is, a piece of shit, really. I think it's a crap idea that doesn't actually work, because the reality is there's going to be some days of the week where you're going to be killing it as a mum, or maybe some hours of the week where you're killing it as a mum and not being a particularly good business person, and vice versa. There's other periods of your life, whether that's hours, days, weeks, terms, years, let's be honest, sometimes, where it's the opposite's true, right?
Yep.
You can't be all things. You can't be 100% perfect in every single area of your life at every given time of the day. Something's got to give sometimes, and that's okay. Like, it's all right to, be juggling all the things and doing the best we can, right?
Totally. And I also want to say, like, hard work equals success. I don't know. I used to be, I guess, back in the day when my studio was not growing and not great, Amanda, one of those people who looked at the big studios and, looked at those successful people and thought, oh, they're so lucky. But now I realize it's not actually luck. It is actually hard work. And it does take hard work to build a business and to make a business amazing. And I think, you've got to understand that. And the time you put into it is worth it if you want to really grow and really be successful. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But don't just think that other people just have it handed to them, because that's not the case. And I say this all the time to my students, like, even every actor you see, every famous person, like, they have worked their guts out to get there, and I just think that's the reality of life. If we want to really make something amazing, we have to work hard.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. And, looking at actors, famous people, incredible entrepreneurs, That's exactly right. They have, they've worked their guts out, but usually they've sacrificed something along the way as well. I think that's a big thing as well. Like, and never saying that, you should completely sacrifice any part of your life, whether that was your health, your relationships, your family, your children, you should never, ever sacrifice everything. But some things do take parts of a sacrifice, whether it be for a short period of time or a long period of time, to achieve those goals. And that's okay. It's just a matter of like juggling. And as you said, kind of like making it up in different ways. Like, to me, yes, I used to work huge hours and not see my kids as much as I wanted. But then school holidays, I'd spend some good amount of time, or I'd be able to take them on this incredible holiday that we could afford because I worked my guts out. There's all of those things that we can do. But I also think, I came from from parents that worked really hard. My parents worked really hard. I didn't see my parents a lot. I didn't see my mum especially a lot. She worked huge hours with me as a kid. I think that I never remember resenting that. I don't resent that now. It was an example for me to work hard and show that. And I don't remember ever being without her. Like, it doesn't, like, I think it's quality time, not quantity of time, sometimes with your kids as well. And when I did see her, it was great quality time. So that's what I try to make work with my kids. So I don't know, that's my kind of thought with juggling.
Love that. And totally agree. So if you're out there and you've got concert coming up and you're feeling bad about neglecting your kids, don't worry. We're all in the same boat and we all feel the same way. And it's not that long to go, guys. And then concert will be over and you can have a beautiful Christmas with your family. So, just keep going and don't let the mother guilt take over.
Absolutely. We're all just doing the best we can. I think like guilt has no place, right? Because it's just, it doesn't help the situation. It doesn't change anything. It, just adds to your headspace. So just do what you got to do and then move on to the next thing and move fast. I think that's the important thing. All right. They are our questions for today. We hope that you enjoyed this honest. Should we go with honest podcast?
Real podcast.
And I hope you guys got some value out of it. Like, thank you so much for helping us get to those 25,000 downloads. We are so thankful and so excited for the future. You'll have to let us know, like, we're getting ready for a bit of a concert series in the podcast and talking about a few things concert-wise. We also have some other exciting podcasts coming up. But if you've got anything you want us to chat about, let us know. We want to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Reach out. We love answering your questions and we love giving value to you all. So let us know how we can do that. Thanks so much for joining us today, everyone. And we will be doing a next podcast soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.